For purpose-driven companies, what does it mean to demonstrate purpose? How do you measure purpose? And then if you do talk about it, then are you being performative and purpose washing? Or are you simply trying to educate people and raise awareness? These are the next set of questions I asked interviewees in my deep dive into what it means to be purpose-driven. And straight up, unfortunately, I don't have any clear-cut answers to any of these questions. And the reason is because the responses to these were just really quite complex and quite varied. And so in this video, I'm just going to cover two major groupings of responses. What does it mean to measure purpose? And what does it mean to communicate purpose? Firstly, measuring purpose. I think just about everybody agreed on the importance of measurement in trying to understand the scope of the impact or the outcomes achieved. However, the major challenge that people identified was that gap between quantitative measures, which are often easier to achieve, X number of dollars raised for something, versus qualitative measures, which is whether or not a benefit was genuinely delivered. One well-known example is the highly publicized Roundabout Play Pump. This is a piece of playground equipment, merry-go-round specifically, in which children playing on the merry-go-round would then pump water from the ground for the communities. This project raised millions of dollars in funding, garnered worldwide attention, and resulted in 1,000 play pumps installed in communities across Africa. Unfortunately, the equipment itself actually wasn't that effective and resulted in women and children being forced to play on the equipment just to get enough water to support the community. In other words, focusing solely on quantitative measures may sometimes prevent us from seeing the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve. I want to give a small shout out here to our friends, the Australian Social Values Bank, which is an Australian social enterprise that's doing some great work tackling the challenge of measuring qualitative impacts. Shifting our attention over to the topic of communicating purpose, which is also sometimes known as cause marketing. Again, this attracted a great deal of debate. Some interviewees felt that it was vitally important to be able to communicate purpose because this is how you educate staff, educate customers, how you raise awareness, and how you convey to people the story of why you do what you do. Movember, the Ice Bucket Challenge, these are all great examples of where powerful messages resulted in powerful movements. On the other hand, other interviewees felt that sometimes talking a bit too much about purpose can come across as purpose washing of why are you telling me what your purpose is? Why aren't you just showing me what it is that you do? I actually experienced a small microcosm of this dichotomy in my interviews, in which one interviewee who regularly gives money to charities was always a bit annoyed that they would constantly send him glossy flyers thanking him for being such an amazing person, and just felt that maybe that money could have been better spent elsewhere. But later I spoke to another person who does a lot of work in charities, especially in fundraising, and they basically shared that these types of activities are sometimes really important for donor retention. Look, I'm barely scratching the surface of this topic because it is such a complex area and there is no clear-cut answers. So I do recommend you check out this specific chapter in the links above or below. But if I had to leave with one favorite hot take that someone shared with me, it would be one of integrity. And the question is this: if no one was watching you, if there was no marketing campaign around it, how would you demonstrate your purpose?